Anyway, here goes. The salmon with the almond flour on it has a little bit of crunch to it, which makes it much more interesting than just a plain piece of salmon. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Googie's Kitchen, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis, and in today's video I want to share with you how to make my delicious breaded salmon with a warm quinoa salad. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you how to make a really delicious breaded salmon with a warm quinoa salad. So this recipe is really easy to do, and I thought as summer is on the way but it's not quite here yet, then this would be a delicious in-between meal. So while you're waiting for the sunshine to come and you want those salads and those barbecues, this is a great meal to have in springtime. It's also a really delicious dish to have in autumn as well. And if it's a colder day in summer, which it normally is in the UK, then it would be a great dish to have on a colder day in the UK as well in summer. So the first thing I've done is I've weighed out all of my ingredients. So here I have about a tablespoon of brown rice flour. So brown rice flour, if you haven't got that, then you can use plain flour if you want to. I'm using this because I have a slight gluten intolerance, so I don't like to eat it. So I'm using rice flour, which does the same thing. It kind of glues the egg to the fish, and then it will glue the breadcrumbs on as well. And then I have an egg here. So in the original recipe, this serves 4 people, but it's just me eating this today. So I've done 1 tablespoon of brown rice flour. I think that was meant to be about 4 tablespoons of brown rice flour in the original recipe. I've done 1 egg, which I think was probably meant to be about 2 large. And then I've just done 1 tablespoon of almond flour. Now if you haven't got almond flour, you can always use breadcrumbs. Sourdough breadcrumbs work really nicely with this as well, and also flaxseed would go really well as well if you wanted to. Ground up flaxseed is really nice as well. That tastes a bit more like breadcrumbs than the almond flour does. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my salmon in the brown rice flour. Now you may not need the amount that I've put on this plate because salmon doesn't tend to soak up the flour as much, but you just need to make sure that the salmon is all coated in the flour. And if you don't like the skin, then you can remove the skin as well if you want to. And then I'm going to dip the salmon into the egg like so. So you probably will need about 2, if you're making this for 4 people, then you will need about 2 eggs, I think, there. And then I'm going to roll this in the almond flour like so, until everything is well coated in this almond flour as well. And I do sometimes end up picking up some of the almond flour and just putting it onto, because sometimes the last little bits don't tend to stick. So I do like a lot of almond flour on my salmon, on the salmon. So I always try and stick as much as I can on there. So that's that done, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put this in the fridge until I'm ready to heat it up. I will preheat my oven while I'm making the quinoa salad, but you could make these in advance. So you could make these, you could roll everything the day before and then just put them in the fridge overnight, and then all you have to do is turn the oven on when you want to heat it up. As I said, I'm off to pop this into the fridge now, and I will preheat my oven, and then once my oven is preheated I will put this in while my quinoa salad is cooking. As I just said, I have preheated my oven to 200 degrees, and once I've started cooking the quinoa, I will then put the salmon into the oven. But I'm going to start cooking the quinoa now. So the first thing I've done is I have got a large saucepan, and I'm going to put this onto a high heat on my hob. And I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the base of the pan, like so. I'm just going to leave this pan up to heat up. But before I go, I just want to say that if you have enjoyed this video today and you'd like to see more, then please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you did really enjoy this video, then please feel free to hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or any comments, then please feel free to leave those in the comments section below. Everything like that really helps me out, and I would really appreciate it. So as I said, I'm going to leave this saucepan to heat up. Pan is getting nice and hot now, so what I've done is I've sliced the top and sort of the bottom from a leek. So if you're using a whole leek for this recipe, you would slice the top and the bottom, and then I just simply slice the leek flesh into like 1/2 centimetre pieces. I am only using a little bit of the leek as it's only me having this today. So I'm using a bit less than I normally would, as if I was making this for 4 people to serve my husband, my son and myself. So I'm just going to fry the leek off now until it starts to soften. The leek has started to soften. It only took a few minutes before it started to soften. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the red pepper. So I have sliced the top from a red pepper and then just removed the core and the stalk, and then I just sliced and diced about 1/2 of the red pepper. If it's only you and you want to use less red pepper, then you can. And of course, if you want to use more red pepper and it's only you, then you can. I do love my vegetables, so that's why I'm using 1/2 of the red pepper and not 1/4. So I'm just going to fry the red pepper now until this starts to soften, but the pan is getting slightly hot. So what I'm going to do is just turn the heat down slightly and add a little bit of water to the base to stop everything from sticking. And also this will help the red pepper to soften slightly quicker as well. So I'm just going to fry this for a good 5 minutes or so until the pepper starts to soften. The pepper has started to soften beautifully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in about 1/2 a courgette that I've just simply peeled and grated. Now I find if I grate the courgette, it cooks slightly quicker. I'm not trying to hide it from myself, I can promise you. Normally I grate vegetables because they're a good way of hiding them from my husband and son. But as it's just me having this meal today, then I'm not trying to hide them. They do just cook slightly quicker as well. So I'm just going to fry these for a further few seconds, I'd say, because it won't take long to cook that off, and for it to soften as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my quinoa. Now in the original recipe I did say 300 grams of quinoa. You could use brown rice for this recipe, or you could use white rice as well if you wanted to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the quinoa to the vegetables. I'm just going to fry those round like so, and I'm going to cook this like I do when I cook brown rice, and I'm just going to pour the stock on top of it, and then I'm just going to bring it to the boil and leave it to simmer. And I find this the most effective way to cook quinoa and brown rice as well, is just to leave it until all the liquid has disappeared. Honestly, it turns out so lovely and soft and fluffy and tender, it's delicious. So I've got about 200 mils of chicken stock here. You can use vegetable stock, or you could use bone broth as well if you wanted to. And I'm just, as I said, I'm just going to add that to the base like so. I think I might need a little bit more, so I'm just going to go and get a little bit more. I thought that would be enough, but no, I need a little bit more, so I'm just going to go and get some more stock. So normally when you cook this for 4 people, I would say about 600 mils of stock is perfect. But as it's just me, I thought 200 would be okay, but actually I think 300 might be slightly better. So what you've got to do is make sure the spoon that you're using hits the top of the vegetables, and then if it goes up to about 2 centimetres on the spoon, then that's a perfect amount of liquid in there. So I've used about 300 mils for just me, but as I said, if you're cooking this for 4, then I would use about 600, maybe a bit more as well. And then what I'm going to do is just turn the heat back up, and I'm going to bring this to the boil, and then once it's boiling I will leave it to simmer, and I will just wait until all the liquid has disappeared, and that will be cooked then. And I'm off to put my salmon into the freezer now. Into the oven now, sorry. So this has started to come to the boil, but in true Googie's kitchen style, I've forgotten to add a few ingredients. So I have forgotten to add some tamari, so I'm going to add about a tablespoon of tamari. Tamari is just soya sauce that's been fermented for longer, and it's also gluten-free. So I have a slight, as I said earlier, I have a slight gluten intolerance, so I always used to like gluten-free products, to be honest. And then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar as well. And that's just to give it a bit of flavour, to be honest. And then I'm going to add some salt and some pepper, and I'm going to turn that heat down while I'm here as well. I'm just going to add a bit of pepper as well, salt, sorry. I'm going to add the salt in, and then I'm going to add some dried mixed herbs as well. And I will mix those round, and then I'm just going to leave these ingredients to simmer, as I said, until all of the liquid has disappeared, and I've put my salmon in the oven, so my lunch is cooking and I'm really looking forward to it. The quinoa has cooked and it's looking lovely and fluffy and soft and just edible basically. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a handful of spinach. Obviously if you were making this for more people you would add a lot more spinach, but a handful is fine for me. So I'm just going to stir the spinach round until it wilts down into the quinoa. So this is a bit like a quinoa risotto, I would say, but it is a delicious warm dish for a mildish autumn day, spring day, I have to say. I'm just waiting for the fish to cook. I think it's got about 2 minutes left on it, so once that's cooked I will take it out and serve this up, and I will try it and let you know how it tastes. So I thought I'd give this a little try and let you know how it tastes. It smells fantastic, I have to say, so I'm sure it's going to taste as good as it smells. Is that right? Yeah. Anyway, here goes. The salmon with the almond flour on it has a little bit of crunch to it, which makes it much more interesting than just a plain piece of salmon. And the quinoa salad is quite a sweet flavour, I think because of the peppers and the courgettes. So it's really delicious. So yes, as always, I'm really looking forward to having this for my lunch today. That's how we make my delicious breaded salmon with a warm quinoa salad, and that recipe I will link in the description box below for you. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be having this for my lunch today, and it smells and tastes so good, I can't wait. So for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.